Hey, Bitcoin and crypto traders checking in. We've had some insight and some talk from Musk on the subject of Bitcoin. That's led to some short-term volatility. Overall, things getting a little bit choppy on the shorter-term time frame, zooming out to find clarity and to see where we stand bigger picture. So first we'll start it off with the dollar, and it is very notable that the dollar is making a bull break. We have a bull cross of the 12 and 26 EMA. The last time that happened, it was short-lived, but it has not happened in multiple months. 3 months since the last time that has happened. That's notable. 91.02, 91.24 are the next resistance levels, and what this break does is decrease the odds a bit that this is a weekly bear flag. And we know that bigger picture, 6-month time frame. Is this a 6-month higher low being set compared to 88.25? Maybe. If the weekly trend changes bullish from here through Q1 2021, then the answer will be yes. And again, we can trade within this range for years. We will need more bull follow through. I need these bulls to make their way to 95 and beyond if that's going to be the setup, but it's shaping up as a possibility. So the good news is we're not dumping. You know, the broader market's got a big green day. Metals are green. So assets are up today overall, even though the dollar is seeing this strength. But again, this is something we will continue to monitor. How long can the bulls keep up daily higher lows? How much follow through do we get? And is the 6-month equilibrium the most likely scenario? Bitcoin. So I went in depth over the weekend in a members video talking about the initial pump from Elon Musk. Elon Musk changing his Twitter description to just say Bitcoin. And for a lot of us, to us that tells us that he bought a long position. But for a lot of people, they're looking at that and saying that doesn't mean anything. And sure, he's come out and talked about being in support of it now, but we don't know how much he's holding. We don't know if he has any plans for Tesla or any other companies to have involvement in cryptocurrency. Maybe he's just hedging against the dollar and diversifying some of his assets of his net worth. We don't have information we don't have specifics, and the market is missing that, which is why we're seeing, in my opinion, these pumps with no follow through. We don't have substance. Elon Musk saying I support Bitcoin is very different than Elon Musk saying I have $100 million in Bitcoin. So I'm keeping an eye out for details, but in the absence of details, it's not a huge story. It would be nice to get details because, again, having the richest man in the world who has a habit of proving everybody wrong on board with Bitcoin, which has done a great job of proving everybody wrong, that would be a match made in heaven. But at this point, it's a bit more passive on his part, intentionally, in my opinion, but we'll see if it's going to remain passive or if he's going to get a little bit more active. I would assume it could stay passive. So we had an initial pump. And again, I went over this all in depth, so I'm not going to go too much in depth here. But we had a massive pump up, and as soon as that pump took place, the odds of a weekly bull flag to new all-time highs versus a bear break of 27,000 to lower lows instantly shifted significantly. At that point, we were 4,000 away from an all-time high and 10,000 away from a lower low. So I got faked out here a little bit. You know, I wasn't buying into the FOMO here, but I was buying consolidation, anticipating that bulls would be waking up in the US in the morning and seeing this and I was essentially attributing that the market would have the same perception as I did as far as, again, all-time highs becoming a lot more likely with this bull move. So I would have anticipated that the bulls that had cash on the sideline, like me, waiting for 25,000, 23,000, if we were going to see another leg down, that they would then utilize that cash to buy the consolidation, knowing that a bear break of 27,000 was a lot less likely. So that was not the case, and we'll just go over the first red flag, but there were plenty of them. The first red flag on that breakout was 5-minute oversold conditions. So after that breakout, it's not surprising to see consolidation. We know that's inevitable after such a significant run up. We had a nice, pointed out this rising wedge before it broke bearish. had clear indication that consolidation was coming. 9:30 a.m. rolled around, and right when the broader market opened, the S&P 500 dumped all day. Big bear day, lots of fear. Look at the control from 9:30 a.m. to 2:45 p.m. All bears, they gave it all back. In my opinion, it was a multitude of factors. Broader market weakness and bots and algos that are correlated to the S&P 500 adding downward pressure. All the bulls that were going to buy on the way up did so. There weren't as many people buying consolidation like I was than I had anticipated. And the third factor was the fact that, you could point to the fact that Musk didn't say anything. He changed his Twitter profile. We know, a lot of us know that means he bought in, but a lot of people could just say, well, Musk is a clown on Twitter often. That doesn't mean anything. So in the end, I gave back a good a good chunk of profit just by scaling in a bit too aggressively. And I was choosing to be aggressive. I had a great January in both stocks and crypto, almost hit my yearly goal. And I gave some of that profit back, not a significant amount, but enough to make me turn the dial back. I turned my dial up to aggressive, scaling in on consolidation, and then realizing after red flag, scaled out and took some losses on that aggressive entry. Now I'm back to my core position and turn the dial back to conservative while I wait for short-term clarity. So just a little wake-up call. I have no regrets on going aggressive because, again, if there was any time to go aggressive, it was on the winning streak that I was currently riding at that point. But the red flag was first 5-minute oversold conditions. Because if you are in a strong uptrend, the first 5-minute oversold conditions is your hourly high or low, and you get a notable bounce. We bounced, but we rejected from EMA resistance and went straight to a lower low. As soon as you hit that lower low, red flag. First 5-minute oversold conditions after a massive bull move, you need a big enough bounce where at a minimum, you're looking at a 5-minute equilibrium, and ideally the 5-minute trend change back to the bulls to set that hourly higher low. So that was the biggest red flag for me in the short term. And just an example, let's look at silver. Silver's got all this hype. I've been in silver for 5 weeks at this point and still trading it actively today. But after the gap up in overnight futures trading, look at first 5-minute oversold conditions. Profit taking from the high after the inability to break the high of 30.13, dump. 5-minute oversold conditions, that's your low. Our 4-hour, or is that our hourly? No, 4-hour higher low is attempting to be from that 5-minute oversold conditions. And again, massive follow through, a bounce of about 4% at this point. Very different story. If silver had bounced, rejected from EMA and dropped to a lower low, I would have way more red flags than I have right now. I'm still bullish silver and still trading it in both directions. So that's just an example. Now let's look at Bitcoin bigger picture. We had Elon Musk last night on Hangouts. No idea why he chose that platform, but he did. So he was on Hangouts, and we had a little bit of a run-up into that. And so I anticipated that potential where right about here, we knew that Musk was going to be on tonight. We knew that people were going to be looking for him to talk about Bitcoin. So I entered a position in addition to my core, put my stop under 32.2, and woke up at 1 a.m. and sold that position pretty much right before we started talking. And that's just me being conservative, not even waiting for him to talk about it, locked in that position, and again, still holding my core at this point because we did see a lot of volatility in both directions. And on this pullback, this has a lot to do with dollar strength, in my opinion. Currently, we're just looking for an hourly lower high on this bounce. But bigger picture, what I need for clarity, daily time frame. So we got our low of consolidation here, our high of the Musk pump, and now we're scouting a daily higher low compared to 29,156. Anything above that level is a daily higher low. I would not be surprised in the slightest to trade within this range for at least a week. I expect that Bitcoin volatility, in the absence of any major news, is likely going to see volatility drop off for the next week plus, because that's a very large range of almost $10,000, and here we are smack dab in the middle of it. So 4-hour trend change back to the bulls is needed for a daily higher low to be set, which means the bulls would need to break 34.7 from here to confirm the 4-hour trend change. If the bulls pull that off, we zoom out, we look for a daily lower high compared to 38.6, the high of the Musk pump. So into tonight, can the bulls confirm a 4-hour trend change, set that daily higher low, and then we look for that lower high. The dominance chart is seeing weakness, but essentially we're just flattening out here and building a base. We had our low of 62.64, and that level held. This was the Musk pump where all the attention was on Bitcoin for that hour or multiple hours, a couple hours to the upside, and then it all came back. And you're also seeing pumps on XRP from Reddit groups or whoever that are impacting this. So when I looked at this chart and I saw the dominance chart really weak yesterday, I thought, wow, ETH BTC is probably going to be strong. And it wasn't. And then I saw XRP and I said, okay, well, XRP is throwing off the market cap, and that is leading to a bit misleading negative impact on this dominance chart. Essentially just making it drop down lower while a lot of the other altcoins were not outperforming Bitcoin in the short term. So have to keep that in mind. But overall, the dominance chart, now we have a huge range, relatively speaking, but 62.64 and 66.31 are the most important levels. We just bounced off support. We're getting a bit of follow through, and we're certainly going to be looking for a lower high compared to 66.31. And just like Bitcoin can trade sideways for another week plus, so can this dominance chart. Bulls definitely want a bit more follow through because we're only $1 above support and we're still $3 below resistance. So bulls would like to get, into the 64s to get into the middle of that range. ETH USD, nice clear daily equilibrium. Got to be cautious up here just because we're tightening up and we have not seen weekly consolidation. The last time we saw a clear break of a higher low every week pattern was down in the 500s. So we can easily roll over here and see weekly consolidation on ETH, and a loss of the daily uptrend would indicate that. Whoops. So we got our all-time high, daily higher low, lower high. Anything above 1206 is a daily higher low. Aggressive bulls are playing off of that level. Aggressive bears are playing off of all-time high resistance, and we got a tightening equilibrium trading sideways. If it breaks bull, all-time high is back on the menu. If it breaks bear, we zoom out for weekly consolidation to scout a weekly higher low. ETH BTC, fading a bit on the daily as well. Daily EMA 12 has been a pretty decent guide over the last month plus, and we're battling to try and hold it here. If that level is lost, we zoom out, and we will then look for a weekly higher low to then form. And again, bulls are looking for a higher low compared to 362 to try and remain in tightening ranges to keep ETH stronger than BTC. If that level of 362 breaks, that'll be a notable dominance break, putting that dominance chart back into the middle of the range, which the bulls want to see. Link USD also tightening up a bit. We've got our all-time high, daily higher low, lower high is now set at 2470, and just like ETH, bulls are scouting a daily higher low compared to 2026 to try and remain in this tightening range. Could this be a daily head and shoulders pattern? Absolutely. A head and shoulders, for me, is just going from a daily uptrend of higher lows and higher highs, higher low, to a lower high and lower low. So if we break 2026 support bearish from here, it confirms the daily head and shoulders, and it means zoom out and scout a weekly higher low. The Link BTC chart is looking a lot like the ETH BTC chart, just with the notable pullback on the daily. The weekly chart still holding on, but close to seeing weekly consolidation underway. And the low of the pullback at this point, we got a high of this spike, low, lower high. Bulls need to hold 6035 for a higher low here. BNB USDT finally getting attention. If you've been watching these videos, I've been saying keep an eye on Binance. Eventually I'm going to be right. I'm not trying to take credit, but it was the kind of thing where we know that Binance is a strong altcoin overall. It's led the space many times, being a lead bull, and for it to just not be participating at all over the last couple of months, we know it's just a matter of time. Link and Binance were both the weakest major altcoins for a period of time. Link obviously did its thing to all-time highs, and Binance still just did nothing. Bulls are trying to change that now. All-time highs, great sign. Hourly still in an uptrend at this point. We've got the 4-hour chart, plenty of space for a higher low, but what is most notable to me is this Binance BTC pairing finally shifting momentum. We were watching just the lower highs. We finally saw a trend change, and now we're getting follow through. We are just looking for a weekly lower high to be the result of this bounce, but again, it was just 3 or 4 months of complete bear control, and the last month that is shifting, and that is what is allowing these all-time highs. So the bulls want to see the Bitcoin pairing remain correlated with the US dollar pairing, which means healthy 4-hour consolidation to set a higher low at the same time in unison next time we do see 4-hour consolidation, and just maintain this 4-hour uptrend as long as possible. XRP USD, got to be cautious of the pump and dumps out there, whether it's Dogecoin or XRP. But this was just a very clear top fishing bear play with a pump. Again, Reddit, whoever, these groups pumping it. And when you get up into the 70s, think about your risk to reward. Massively overextended move. If I short it at 72 even, I'm risking 7 or 8 cents to the upside, and my reward is 10, 20, 30 cents to the downside. So we had, that top was hit, and we just fell off a cliff. And now we're looking for an oversold bounce, but again, got to be real quick and cautious on this name. The only plays that I would be looking for are plays with very clear stop levels nearby. We are going to look for a 5-minute higher low compared to 36. If the bulls confirm the 5-minute trend change, we zoom out and scout an hourly lower high. But again, on plays like this and names like this, you have to have a lot of experience to trade them, and you have to ensure that you are disciplined enough to ensure that you cannot possibly end up holding a bag on a pump and dump name like this. So that's where we stand in the short term. Can the bulls confirm a 4-hour trend change to set the daily high or low on Bitcoin? Again, keeping an eye out for Musk to talk about any potential details, but at this point, he's just not giving the substance that the market bulls would need. Again, for me and for Twitter and for people with the memes and Reddit, he's giving enough info where we know he's given us the green light. But for Wall Street and for hedge funds and for other companies looking to follow somebody's lead, he's not giving any info whatsoever. So that's a very distinct difference. And I hope you're well. Do good things, establish those game plans, and we'll check back in soon.